Picture this. You're a young artist in 2019 deeply into animation. One day you wake up with a pilot for an animated series. You watch it, you love it, and now you can't wait to see what's next. And then the full show releases. And it's... Hi, my name is Julie and I've been an animation student for the past 3 years. In this video, I'll be sharing 3 character redesigns, Charlie, Vaggie and Alastor, along with the creative reasoning behind each one. These are not fixes, but reinterpretations guided by visual storytelling, shape language and character roles. When I watched Hazbin Hotel, I didn't think too much of it at first. I mean, I was so excited it was finally happening that I basically turned my brain off and enjoyed the visuals. But then, something changed. Many videos on my recommended page started doubting whether the show lived up to the hype or not, and it was a matter of time before negative reviews started to appear. I didn't click on any of these videos at first because I didn't want my opinion on the show to change. But eventually, curiosity got the best of me. It's fine, I thought to myself. If the show is half as good as I think it is, I should be able to defend it regardless of what argument is thrown at me. Little did I know that some of those videos would actually make some good points about their discomfort. And combined with what I was taught regarding storytelling, I finally got to the conclusion that... yeah, this show is flawed, but not for the reasons you may think. A lot of people argue that the main issue with the show's character designs is the lack of body type diversity, or that the characters aren't scary enough, or that their animal inspirations don't come through clearly. And while none of those critiques are completely wrong, I think they're missing something far more important, because there's a much bigger problem that almost no one talks about, and it sits at the very core of these designs. In case you don't know, many Hazbin Hotel characters come from VivziePop's old webcomic Zoophonia, where every character was an animal with a humanoid body. This right here is the problem. Hazbin Hotel characters weren't built around their universe, they were rescued from a completely different world. In other words, these characters were designed before their story was ever even written. And that is the true problem with VivziePop's designs. These designs are also shaped by rules the show never actually explains. Apparently, every sinner is meant to be punished by embodying something they hate about themselves, but this idea is never explored, acknowledged, or meaningfully used in the story. And that raises a bigger question. Why introduce a rule like if you're not gonna do anything with it? At that point, it just wasted effort that could have been spent developing something that you are going to use in the show. It's choices like this that make the designs feel completely disconnected from the story. In any writing class, one of the first things you're taught is that everything should be intentional. Every detail exists for a reason, and if something doesn't serve the narrative, it shouldn't be there at all. In the writing community, there's this idea called kill your darlings, a practice that forces you to make choices for the good of the story instead of your own. This doesn't mean that you should actually kill your characters though. It means that you should not get married to an idea or concept if it doesn't serve a purpose in your story. Here's a quick example. Let's say you love drawing cat ears, so you want every character to have them, but it turns out that your story is about World War I. Let me ask you then, what purpose do the cat ears hold in your story? If the answer doesn't come right away, or if it happens to be I just like them, then it might be a sign to cut them off, because they're hurting your story more than they're helping it. And guess which character holds this exact kind of problem? That's right, all of them! Charlie is often described as being God-inspired, which, on paper, isn't necessarily a bad concept. Traditionally, the figure of the devil has been depicted with god-like features, so it would make sense for the devil's daughter to visually reflect that lineage. However, Hazbin Hotel does not portray Lucifer in a traditional demonic way. Instead, the show leans heavily into his identity as a fallen angel. Under that interpretation, Charlie inheriting overt god-like traits feels inconsistent with the internal logic of the world. If Lucifer is framed primarily as an angelic figure rather than a bestial one, then Charlie adopting those animal features becomes difficult to justify narratively. She is also said to be inspired by a porcelain doll, but this idea is neither clearly communicated through her design nor supported by her story. Porcelain dolls are associated with fragility, delicacy, and being admired from a distance, qualities that don't align with Charlie's journey or how she is treated within the narrative. If anything, her role in the story resembles that of a ragdoll, overlooked, dismissed and repeatedly pushed aside, despite being the literal princess of hell. Visually and thematically, that metaphor would be far more cohesive with her character. Vaggie, on the other hand, is a moth. And why? Honestly, no idea. She's a fallen angel, a former exterminator who took part in mass killings, and now she works as a hotel staff. And somehow, the animal that represents all of that is a moth. It's definitely a choice, and not necessarily a bad one, but the problem is that the show never really explains or supports it. There's no clear symbolic connection between moths and Vaggie's journey, her personality, or her role in the narrative. So instead of feeling intentional, it kind of just feels random, like an aesthetic decision that looks cool but doesn't really say anything about who she is. In fact, this decision could trick the audience into thinking that she is related to Valentino in a way, since they share the same animal. Sure, we know that's not the case, but it could be. Alastor, on the other hand, is designed as a deer, and the reason for that, apparently he was mistaken for one when he died. That's it. That's the entire explanation. And while that might work as a fun piece of trivia, it raises a much bigger question. What does that actually have to do with his personality, his motivations, or his character arc? The answer is pretty much nothing. Deer are typically associated with prey, animals that are hunted, chased, and killed. Alastor, meanwhile, is a serial killer who constantly presents himself as the hunter, not just in life, but even in death. You could argue that this contrast is meant to be ironic, like some kind of cruel twist of fate, but the problem is that the story never supports that reading. The show doesn't explore that irony, acknowledge it, or use it in any meaningful way. So, instead of feeling clever or intentional, the deer imagery just ends up feeling disconnected from who Alastor actually is. And you know what? I could sit here all day breaking down how these designs don't meet industry standards or why they don't work on a technical level, but there's one thing you simply can't deny. The show is a massive success. It's been breaking records since the day the pilot dropped on YouTube, and honestly, who cares if the designs aren't perfect? They've clearly connected with millions of people around the world, myself included, so they must be doing something right? Right? And just for fun, and because I need to make this video a bit longer, let me show you a short animation I made using my own redesign for Charlie. It could definitely be a little bit better, but please, bear with me. This took me like 2 days, alright? Take a look.
Where's Alastor?
Alastor? I mean, he's right. He's out. Alastor? I mean, he's right. He's out. Alastor? I mean, he's right. He's out.
What you're watching is a small moment from Season 2, when Vox visits the hotel for the first time. I chose this scene because it was short, simple, and manageable enough for me to actually finish something that looks decent. It's not perfect, especially the ending, which could use some tweaking, but at some point I just got lazy and decided it was done. And before anyone asks, no, this isn't frame-by-frame animation, it's cutout animation, which is basically a puppet-based technique. You focus on the key poses, and the software takes care of the in-betweens, making the whole process a lot faster and way less painful. As for the tools, I use Paint Tool Site 2 for the sketches, Moho for the animation itself, and After Effects for post-processing. Hopefully this gives you a clearer idea of how my redesigns will actually look in motion, instead of just sitting there as drawings. And hopefully that's enough to make the video longer. Anyway, here's the final result. At the end of the day, these redesigns aren't about right or wrong. They're just explorations, alternative ways to interpret characters through visual storytelling. I'd love to hear what you think. Which redesign worked for you? Which didn't? And how would you approach these characters? As for me, my name is Julie, and I'll see you next time.